a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC Podcasts are a service of CNC Worldwide, brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. City Hall says Tuesday is finally the day construction starts on the Inner Loop East project. The east end of the loop closes between Monroe Avenue and Main Street for good to emerge 3 years and more than $20 million later as a new surface-level boulevard, plus a strip of new land that's open for development. Construction was pushed back twice because of the record snowfalls last month in Buffalo. It kept the contractors from getting their heavy equipment out of that city. United States Senator Chuck Schumer says people who live around Irondequoit Bay need a new year-round connection across the bay mouth between Irondequoit and Webster. The New York Democrat is calling for a $70,000 federally funded feasibility study to see what it would take to bridge that gap year-round. For the past 16 years, the Irondequoit outlet has had a seasonal bridge swung into position every October so drivers can get from Culver Road across to Lake Road. In April, it swings back against the Irondequoit side so boats can get in and out of the bay during the warm weather months. Traffic detours south, either to 104 or Empire Boulevard. Schumer says the 20-minute detour is a loser for lakefront businesses and a safety hazard that sometimes keeps the closest emergency crew from responding to your call. The senator says the time has come for something better that can handle both the boats and the year-round vehicle traffic. Governor Cuomo has released a state agency report which says New Yorkers are safer now from accidents to trains carrying crude oil through Rochester and the other major upstate cities. Trains with tank cars of volatile North Dakota crude oil regularly pass through Rochester, Buffalo, and Syracuse on the CSX rail line across New York. After accidents caused some disastrous fires in other states and Canada, New York's Transportation Department tightened the safety rules and began more track and rolling stock inspections. More safety inspectors were put on the job, and the state coordinated with local fire departments along the oil train routes so everyone is up to speed on what those trains carry and how to handle an accident. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office says a medical issue may have caused a driver to crash his car on Jefferson Road in Henrietta Monday afternoon. A spokesman says 86-year-old Gilbert Flager was driving west on Jefferson when his car suddenly veered across the center of the road, across the eastbound lanes, then into a tree and a guardrail. The car flipped and it landed upside down in 2 to 3 feet of water in the bottom of a culvert. Driver Andrew Cowden saw Flager's car cut in front of him and crash. He pulled over. He got into the wrecked car through the rear passenger door. He cut Flager's seatbelt and he dragged the man out of the culvert. Cowden started CPR on the victim until Henrietta ambulance arrived. Flager is in Strong Memorial Hospital with serious injuries, and the Good Samaritan was treated for minor exposure and cuts. Rochester police have identified the man they found dead a week ago, shot dead inside the foyer of a multifamily house on Ludwig Park. Police say the man whose body they found was 21-year-old Jamal Chester of Rochester. There have been no arrests in the case so far. Anyone who could help solve that crime is asked to please call 911. Rochester police have charged a city woman with second-degree murder in the fatal stabbing of a 40-year-old Rochester man over the weekend. 38-year-old Danielle Ray has been charged with stabbing Anthony Blue in the upper body at the Andrews Terrace Apartments on St. Paul Street. Friends say the two had a violent relationship, and domestic violence agencies are watching this case closely. A Fairport man who was found guilty of obstructing administration of tax law will spend 5 years on probation and pay just over $270,000 in restitution to the IRS. Anthony Cerami was sentenced Monday in federal court in Rochester. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the 65-year-old man spent decades trying to conceal his income and avoid paying the money. He used trusts and aliases to hide his assets, he destroyed evidence, and he told witnesses to withhold testimony from investigators. A public hearing will be held Thursday evening on Monroe County's $1 billion 2015 operating budget before it comes to a vote next week by the county legislature. Expect daycare advocates to be out in force because one of the ways County Executive Maggie Brooks is holding the tax rate flat is by spending fewer county dollars on taxpayer-subsidized daycare for families of the working poor. The county is still paying $4.2 million more than the state mandates, but that represents a $400,000 cutback from this year. Brooks says the county is still more than meeting its obligation. Child care advocates say this means more families who depend on subsidized daycare while the parents work will be forced out and may have to give up their jobs. The hearing's at 5:30 p.m. Thursday at the county building. Your next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of these pages and catch one. We post updates as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.